Name, Dr. Sleep. Did you see it? I did. One sentence summary. A bizarre live action feature length sequel to the Treehouse of Horror episode, The Shinning. Could you be the villain? Right, so Rose the Hat, terrible name, she leads a group of like psychic vampires that feed off people with the Shinning. And Ewan McGregor plays Danny, the kid from The Shining, and he protects the little girl from these psychic vampire things, who they seem to have like psychic powers, obviously. And Rose throws Ewan McGregor like it ain't no thing. So maybe they've got super strength as well. I'm not really sure. But this film is set in America, so like, if it were me, and these things aren't bulletproof, by the way, as evidenced by the time that Danny and his mate shoot a bunch of them and kill them. So like, I would have just purchased a shotgun and knocked the hat straight off Rose's head. Also, the rest of her face or something. Ewan McGregor loses a fight where he has the high ground. I call bullcrap, alright? It's ridiculous. Anyways, how would you improve this film? The pacing was so bad. Like, it starts in 1980, just after the events of The Shining, and little Danny is traumatised by the events of the novel/book. Fair enough. Then it flashes to 2011, and little Danny has grown up to become Ewan McGregor, and he's a bit of a shit bloke. Then it flashes again to 2019, and he's got his life together, and he's psychic friends with the little girl. So what you should have done is start it in 1980, then go to 2019, and then when he's at a AA meeting, he should have been all like, oh man, I was a well shit bloke, also me dad was an arsehole, but now I'm feeling alright. For the first hour, as I say, he doesn't do anything, he's just getting his life back in order, and the little psychic girl, she's doing all the adventuring. The film should have been named after her, not Dr. Sleep. Also, I'm assuming that name comes from the book, as it's only mentioned once in this entire film, and it doesn't really make any sense. It's just from a dying man who's probably a bit delirious. Also, Dr. Sleep. Right, so there's a magic cat. I'm going to take a breath. There's a magic cat in the hospice that knows when people are going to die. But Dr. Sleep should have been the cat's name, because the cat, it's funny if you call a cat a doctor, it's a cat. If you call Danny a doctor, he's an orderly. End of the film is just people walking through scenes in The Shining. Like, that's literally all it is. Rose the Hat sees the blood coming out of the lift, and she's like, The psychic girl's mum says, we missed you at dinner. So apparently, and like, she's in her room, like in that house where presumably they were eating dinner. So I guess in that house, like, they give you one warning and that's it. If you miss it, you miss it. Where Rose the Hat psychically goes into the head of the little girl, and her bedroom is full of filing cabinets, full of memories. Oh, that's nice. Why is the little girl's head full of filing cabinets though? Because it is 2019. That girl's head should have been full of like computer files or something like that. Ridiculous. The school apparently don't bother to mention to her parents that the little girl skipped school for a day. They roam around, they hunt for people with steam, or as, you know, Willie would call it, the shinning. And he's hanging around one of these psychic vampire dudes. He's hanging around at a baseball game, and some hick is like, hey, that kid is so good, he might as well be psychic. And that's apparently enough evidence for, you know, the psychic vampires to brutally murder this child. And it is brutal, Jesus Christ. There's a new lady playing his mum, Wendy, as previously played by Shelley Duvall in The Shining. That makes sense, because she's not the same age that she was in 1980, so you probably got to recast if you want her to look about the same. They did the same thing for Dick Hallorann, the psychic chef guy from The Shining, and now he's a ghost in this. But you also see a clip from the original Shining, the bit where Jack Nicholson smashes through the door, And Wendy's all like, ah! So you've got two different actors. They look similar, but they've got different faces, playing the same character at the same point in their life. It's just confusing. If you want to do more than a little subtle nod to that scene, instead of Ewan McGregor looks through the door, that pissed me off as well. When he looked through the door, just like Jack Nicholson does, it's like, oh, God's sake. Anyway, he looks through the door, and instead of cutting in a piece of The Shining, they should have just done the like echoey sounds of the door smashing and the screaming, something like that. I don't know. Because also, I'm pretty sure by that point in the scene in The Shining, Danny was already out the window. I can't remember, but there you go. I'm not going to bother looking out. Anyways, also there's another guy in this who he's like the bartender at the hotel, a ghost bartender, and he looks an awful lot like Jack Nicholson did in The Shining. Fair enough. Again, Jack Nicholson has aged, so you can recast him. But the guy doesn't appear to make any effort to do the Jack Nicholson voice, which is like more recognisable than his face, I would say. Also, this is not really a thing to improve, but the guy who played Jack the bartender in this was Elliot from E.T. Weird. Elliot was the kid, not the alien. Anyway, his cool plan is to lure Rose the Hat, the psychic vampire, to the Overlook Hotel so that the hotel and the ghosts inside will attack her. Because he reasons that if it's dangerous for psychic people who've got the shinning, like him and the little girl, it will be even more dangerous, or just as dangerous, for the psychic vampire. But here's my thing on that. So the hotel is explained kind of wants to eat him, basically, because he's got the shinning. And then the psychic vampires also kind of want to eat him because he's got the shinning. So in my head, the hotel and the psychic vampires are the same, so there's a good chance they might even be on the same team. They might double team you. You don't want that. That's where you just go to your local Walmart and buy a shotgun, and you wait for the lady to turn up, and then you ambush her, you know, like you did to all those other guys earlier in the film. So the final kind of boss battle in this should have been Ewan McGregor versus the guy that looks like Jack Nicholson, both in the hotel with their dodgy legs. Oh yeah, Ewan McGregor takes an axe to the leg, and it's mentioned that she might have hit his femoral artery. He's alive for a long time after that. Anyways, should have been Ewan McGregor fighting the ghost of his dad in the hotel. That he's metaphorically getting over his demons. Also, will look cool as. Did he call the police before they entered the hotel, or were they just like, hey, that abandoned hotel on top of the mountain has been on fire for 5 seconds, let's get over there quickly? Ewan McGregor says to the little psychic girl, ooh, in this day and age, you know, it's a bit weird for a grown man to be hanging around with a teenage girl. Yeah, and her calling you Uncle Dan doesn't make it okay. If anything, it's just creepier. The psychic people in this film have many a power, and the little girl is supposed to be like the most powerful, we think. And she can read minds, she can astral project, she can remote view, she's got telekinesis. Why is she afraid of anything? Like, she's shown to be quite brave and stuff, but like everyone's like, oh no, Rose the Hat is coming to get me. Let's go hide at the scary hotel. This girl could like take out half of the X-Men on her own. Jesus. They say that fear makes the little kids taste better when they eat them, steal their psychic energy. Which I'm not sure if that's a nod to Pennywise, or the psychic vampires are kind of the same as Pennywise, or if it's just lazy that it's the same idea being reused again. Anyways. The little girl's dad is dead. And the mum's all like, oh man, I'm well sad. And the little girl is like, oh, don't worry, we don't end. Meaning, you know, life goes on, even if you're dead. But Dick, the ghost, he says to Danny, like, I'm not coming back. You ain't never going to see me again. So, is it just because he's sick of Ewan McGregor's crap? Or, like, is he dying as a ghost? What's going on? I don't know. They go to the hotel. The lights come on because of magic. Dick the ghost even mentioned that, like, Danny's psychic power lit that place up like a 1,000,000 volt battery or something like that. Ewan McGregor goes into the generator room, turns on the generator anyway. Like, feels like you're wasting time. The lights are already on, fella. The psychic girl's dad is all like, oh man, we got to call the police about these, kid killing psychic vampires. And Ewan McGregor's all like, well, I think these people have been around for a very long time. They're very rich and powerful. I don't know if they're worried about the police. Number one, they live in a bunch of like RVs and caravans. I don't know how rich and powerful they are. Number two, they shop at a supermarket like normal people. It was a very weird scene. And in that scene, a like a like a fridge explodes. It would appear in a customer's face, and the staff are really quite chill about it. So it's not the best. It's not a Waitrose, I'll tell you that. C, maybe try calling the police and saying there's a bunch of kid killers, and I think they're going to try and kill my kid. See what happens. Like you never know. It might help. Danny says he's only met like two or three people that ever knew that they had the shinning. In this film, he's already met Dick the Ghost. He meets his friend Billy or Bobby or whatever it is, who sort of has a bit of the shinning about him as well. He meets the psychic cat, the magic cat. He meets the little girl, the psychic girl, and he meets all the energy vampires and stuff. And there's a bit where the energy vampires are complaining that, oh, there's not as much steam in the world as there used to be. Steam is the magic little thing, the shin. Seems like there's plenty of the stuff going around. Like, there's half a dozen people in this film anyway. Right now, 5 beers. 4. I got bored when I was watching this film. I checked my watch a couple of times. And that's because the first hour, nothing happens. Ewan McGregor doesn't do anything. He's just sad and drunk. And like, I think that version of Danny is more interesting than the sober one we got towards the end when he started doing stuff. Oh well.